muted it. Okay. Let's mute side, get Twitter out, get our bot in here, and get Discord out. All right. So, hello everyone. This is Chris Ingerson, and it is October 16th, and this is the October 16th TextQuest Devstream. So, today we are going to be working on props for the exterior of the castle. These are not things that the player will ever interact with, but they are things that the player will be able to see, and it will just help give a better sense of, I don't want to say realism, but immersiveness. Immersiveness is not a word, but immersion is, to the environment. So we'll be having dirt paths painted along the grass here to make it look like there's actually a walking area. We will have a fountain with some stone benches in this courtyard, and we will have statues over here. Now, this is pretty minor stuff, but I wanted to have this. Yes, cat, I see you. I wanted to have these things be added because I have had a few people point out that it feels like there's nothing to look at out there. And while I know you can't interact with them, just having something to look at will make the landscape much more visually interesting. And of course, I like the idea of looking outside and just seeing the word statue. So I think that's just going to be fun. Also, this will let us have some more particle effects that the player will be able to see over here in the form of water. And I always like making particle effects for this game. So, hello, Anthony. Welcome back. How are you doing tonight? Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I already have sort of a layout for a texture done, but it's not fully realized yet. And part of that is because I need to actually model out some of it so that I can see where the UVs fall. So we're going to kind of do like a weird model, then come back to the texture, adjust it, and then actually make it a full-on substance, which I have a like placeholder version of it done so that we can actually model with it. But yeah, it's going to be a bit of a strange back and forth process. The modeling is probably going to be the most time consuming, but honestly, it's not going to take us very long. The fountain's probably the most difficult thing. I get the feeling that the bench and the statues and their pedestals are not going to be that hard to do. So, okay, let's go ahead and create a new shape. We're going to make this. This is going to be a little weird because I'm going to try to make this a. Let's see, I think I'm going to want it to be a cylinder to start. And you're probably somewhere weird, aren't you? Where are you? You're there. Cool. So we're kind of try to move this over. Let's turn on snapping. Move this up. Doing good. How are you? I'm doing all right. Getting used to the weather cooling down here for the year. It was 80 last Friday, and then it dropped to like the 50s basically in one day. So still adapting to that. Hello, Scorpio. Welcome back. How are you doing tonight? And also Palm Tree. Welcome back as well. I'm so popular tonight. Well, hopefully everyone's having a pretty good night so far. Pretty good week. It's only Tuesday, but you know. Okay, I think we're gonna try to make this eight-sided. That is what I want. Its height is probably one is fine. Let's go ahead and lower this real quick. Let's just position it down to about here. All right, so that's about right. Yeah, we're getting too close, so I'm going to focus up there. The camera clipping plane was messing up. So that's probably fine. So we're going to do something weird here, and that's going to be... I'm going to create it at this size. Well, no, I'll create it at... Let's see, a radius of 5, I'm going to say. Yeah, that seems pretty good. I think... yeah, I think 5 is okay. We'll do it with 5. Doing good. Finally have some time off band. That's good. Doing really good. Like, really, really good. Are you doing really well, though? You never know. Well, what has you doing so well, if you don't mind me asking? We're also going to go ahead and say, I think we're good with our height there. Actually, you know what? No, let's see if I can go less than that. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's try smaller than that at like 0.25. That seems fine. Okay, I prefer that. So we're going to go ahead and build that. So there's our cylinder. Let's go ahead and now we are going to extrude our faces out by just a little bit. This is going to form our lip. Grab this. Grab this. Shoot. I already borked it. I messed up already. Hold on. let's do this again real quick. So I do want that size, but I need to add a subdivision to its center. So let's go up to here. Let's see. Will you let me add one height? Oh, nope, that's the height segments. I don't want that. Instead, oh, that sucks. Okay. Dang, I really thought that it would let me add a subdivision to the center, but it will not. And that is very sad. So I will have to manually do that. Cool. All right, so let's go ahead and just create that again. We'll try to work within the confines of this. Before we do anything, I am going to go ahead and grab these. All right, and then we are just going to go ahead and subdivide this. So we're going to say subdivide edges. We will add, I just want to add one subdivision. Okay, let's grab these. And let's see if I can connect these. It's been a while since I've used this, so we're just going to do this. And the reason that I'm manually connecting these is because I want to, one, be able to drag the edges around. It's also weird because I did this backwards. Normally you do it in a clockwise fashion, and I did it in a counterclockwise fashion. Go figure. Connect vertices. Cool, there we go. So now we have our face, but I do have to shrink it in, sadly. Okay, so let's try this. We're going to shrink this into about there. Yeah, I think that's okay. Let's see. My guess is that Chris is doing as well as the quality of his work. Yep, that's pretty much, that's a safe assumption. One reason I'm doing well is that I just slept for the first time in 47 hours. Yeah, that would definitely, that would help perk you up. Definitely seems like a nice thing to do. Got engaged. Well, congratulations. I feel like you said that you've been engaged before, right? So, different engagement or like the same engagement as before, but again? All right, so we're going to go ahead and extrude this. It would be really nice. There should be, here we are, extrude faces. We are going to extrude by vertex normal, distance of 0.5, I'm going to say. Let's do face normal, that's what I want. Extrude faces. Yay! That's about right. Let's go ahead and close this. Then we're going to extrude these faces up a little bit. So extrude faces again, except this time it's going to be at about 0.75. Okay, that's not too bad actually. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So now that's about 3 feet, which is about, I think, average for a. Well, here, let's do this. Extrude face. I'm just going to extrude it up by 0.5 instead of 0.75. That's better. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Ah, okay. Well, congratulations on your new engagement. All right. And let's go ahead and select these. confusing. Okay, there we go. Okay, don't quite know why you guys got selected. What the freak is going on here? Okay, this is very weird. Let's try this again. There we are. All right, so we're going to extrude this up. I'm going to say 2 meters. Nope. Even more than that, actually. Let's go 3 meters. Yeah, that seems about right. So this is our fountain head. And we're going to have our fountain on the side here with our base in here and then our fountain head. And I suppose what we'll do up here, oh, that is going to make things just so difficult for me to actually work with. We're going to try to do that. Oh, this is going to be so delightfully not fun to try and actually position. Oh, this is going to suck. Okay. I might end up crushing that back down and then instead having it be, okay, work with me here. Basically extruded inwards. That might be the preferred option. So for now, let's go ahead and grab our faces. Also learned that you might be able to get a prosthetic soon. Man, just good news. All over the place. I don't feel like I remember what you needed a prosthetic for. If you told me before, I feel terrible. I'm sorry. Let's see here. So we're going to go ahead and select this. And I think we're going to try and, wow, that was just so messed up. Let's try extruding this again. Except we are going to extrude it about, yeah, you know what, I'm just not going to extrude it. I'm just going to let it stay like that. I think that's fine, honestly. I think it's, yeah, it's fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to do some light UVing to get this sort of set up. So first things first, let's go ahead and say UV editor. I'm going to slide this over because I need to be able to see the full thing. Oof. That's rough. Well, I'm glad that you are getting a prosthetic, though. That's nice. Okay, so for this, we're going to need to go to the material editor. I'm going to go ahead and grab this. We are just going to select the entirety of this, hit apply. It's not going to be correct to start, which is fine. So we're going to now try to align these things in such a way that they are actually properly set up. However, as part of this, I am going to have to delete the bottom because there's no point in me really bothering with these UVs since they will never be seen by the likes of man. Alright, so that is all on the same level. Good. So let's go ahead and delete those faces. Cool. So we now have a little bit less that we have to work with. Cool. I'm going to go ahead and drag this over so you all can see me try to line these things up. How long have you been waiting for a prosthetic? Also, I just realized that My Twitch page does not think that I'm actually live. Okay, weird. Well, okay then. Now it's correct. All right, so we're going to go ahead and... So you can see this is our actual texture, which seems wrong. What's going on there? Huh. Well, that's weird. What the frig happened here? Right. What? Why is this fountain not on there? Like, I don't have the vertical fountain. Yet I clearly do here. Interesting. Maybe this is the wrong one? It is the wrong one. Oops, that was the PNG that I made. Yeah, well, I definitely don't need these. So hold on, let me fix this real quick. So that was my fault. Just go ahead and drag this in. Connect these. Okay, there we go. Much better. And then let's just go ahead and export this again. I'm going to move this off to the side. 2 years ago? Oof, that is rough. Okay, so we're going to put this over here. All right, there we go. Now I can see it. It's going to make it a lot easier for us to do the vertical part of this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and grab all of this. And we're going to deselect. Okay, yeah, you're just going to be like that. So I'm just going to try to grab all of these, then move them off to the side. Okay, so that's all gone now. Put you off here. Let's try to grab the faces up top if we can. Drag those off. I'm going to assume that this is all of them. Yes, cool. Let's go ahead and rotate this 90 degrees. We're going to shrink this in a fair amount. Actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and try to shrink everything in at the same time, relatively speaking. Oh, you didn't group them. Okay. Well, actually, crap. Yeah, that's... Ah, jeez. Yep, this is just going to get so messy. Okay. So... Uh-huh. 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 Yep. The weirdest person, huh? Well, admittedly, I'm trying to think of a bunch of different people that I know that... I don't know that many that have lost a limb. At least not personally. Or not very well, anyway. So one of the things that I'm going to have to do is separate one... Geez, I hate that it won't let me select them if they're partially selected. So these things are different. Like, they're going to be their own thing, and I'm going to have to carefully position them. It's mostly going to suck because I need them to all basically occupy the same spot. Almost, because they're not really going to have a texture that's shared behind or between them that's got like a circular design. They're all just going to be in one spot. Specifically, this is going to be terrible. Let's see, they should be done in 20 unit increments, which means that that's actually going to be 340. Why do you keep moving me around? Who knows? Which means this is 20. Okay, we're just going to keep doing this, aren't we? Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. It's 22.5. There we are. Which makes this 337.5 as well. There we go. Okay, so this is going to be 20. Let's hope that it can do math. Oops, also 22.5 times 2. I just don't want to have to do it. Yay, I can. What the heck? 22.5 wasn't correct? 22.5 times 2? No. What? 68 times 3? Why is it times 3? It should be times 2. Alright, whatever. So this is going to be 360 minus 22.5 times 3. Yeah, it's just going to be a bunch of us, like, hand positioning this. Let's see. Any hermaphrodites? No, actually, I do not. So you are the first one that I know. Let's see. And we're going to go down to here. Okay, slowly working our way up. This is going to be... I'm guessing this is 225 times 4. Nope, really. Times 5. That's so freaking weird. Alright. So 60 minus 112.5. What? 360 minus There we are. Alright, so we're going to grab these and move them down here, and then this is probably going to be, I'm guessing, 2.5 times 7. Super weird. Let's grab that. We're just going to say 360 minus that. Cool. So that's all of those now laid out. Drink. So, once I get these into position, we can actually line these up. So the easiest thing to do here is probably just going to be to slide these guys in over here. I'm not too worried about getting it to be 100% accurate. I think it'll be fine. But I will try to get them as close as possible. All right. Okay, move this over to here. So now all of my fountain base triangles, or quads, I guess, should roughly have the same pattern, which is about what I would expect. I had not laid out the actual design for it yet. I did leave a space for it over here. It's just going to say fountain in smaller increments. So we can kind of just roughly position it there for now. That's a really nice optical effect, actually. I might do something with that. Hold on, I'm going to take a note. Assuming I can find my pen. Okay, so we're going to... Let me take a note of this real quick. Texture Okay, so that was just a fun little side thing. Let's go ahead and try to position this a little closer. It's probably actually fine to... Oh, dang it. Okay, let's move this over to the side. Let's grab you. We're just going to move you over to here for now. Um, this is pretty much going to follow the same thing, where it's going to go. Let's see here. Where are you all? Are you just like on top of one another? I'm assuming so, but what is this? It's nothing. What are you? Ah, okay. That's what that is. So we're going to go ahead and select all of these, move them down. So these are the inner lips. And this is the outer lips. And then we are going to basically, so it's basically going to go like this. So we're going to have outer, then inner, and then we're going to do the same thing that we were doing with the floor quads. We're going to do with these top quads. We're just going to unravel them and have them all be in the same position because that's where they're going to be on the texture. Hmm. All right. See you when you get back. All right. So this is going to be again 2.5, 60 minus 2.5. Oop, wrong one. Cool. God, what the freaking really? Work with me here. Okay, cool. So those are all, they're not positioned yet, but they are rotated at the very least. So let's go ahead and drag you guys down. Oh, you're all stacked up differently because of course you are. All right. Wheel. Let's go ahead and just position these then. What kind of wine did you get? All right, so we're going to grab these. Let's move them down to here. It entirely depends on the kind of wine that you have. I'm admittedly not much of a wine guy. I'm more of a liquor guy. Love me some whiskey. Red? Oh, that's typically drier. Oh, wait, no. White's usually the drier one, isn't it? Red's usually sweeter. Yeah, I don't remember. Like I said, I'm not much of a wine guy. All right, let's go ahead. I'm going to grab these, move them down, move them over. Let's go down to here. I hate it when I can't scroll past the edge. Okay, let's grab this, move this over to here. Right about there. Okay, so we're looking at about here plus a Y offset. Cool, right about there. All right, so now those UVs are lined up. Phew. So we can now position this at roughly the same spot as, hold on, as these. I'm a pancake guy, a pancake and a beer guy. It can't be done. Oh, God. Freaking stupid. Okay, there we are. So we're going to try to position this right about there. Fortunately, they do seem to line up almost perfectly, which is very nice for us. Let's go ahead and grab that. I'm going to move you over to here. Move you down. All right. I I think we are almost entirely done. So we can now try to like sort of position things right about there. And the best thing is I think it's actually going to kind of work out properly. I say that and then it probably just goes to shit immediately afterwards. But for the time being, let's go ahead and select everything and then we're going to scale it all down um, to about there. No, about there, I think. Okay. Where are these? Ah, yes, that's right. Actually, let's go ahead and scale these. I'm just going to go ahead and group these. So, we're going to say group selected faces. Cool. That should keep them from flying apart now. So we can go ahead and grab these all again. We're going to say times 4. Yep, that clamped those together. These ones kind of went off and did their own thing, which is weird, but who cares? As long as they're not terribly wrong, we can always just reposition them. All right. So things are looking pretty good. Move this stuff up a little bit more. Oh dear, that is very disconcerting. Oh, it's just because some of them again got moved to the side, which is fine. Let's go ahead and move this over to here. Well, I suppose it's probably more important for you to be with the person you're engaged with rather than, watching my dev stream. I mean, I can't personally say that that's true, but, it probably is. So, tell them that you gave up a very important part of your night. All right. Well, thanks for stopping by, Palm Tree. I will see you later. Oh, shoot. Right. These things never got fixed. Okay. That's unfortunate. Um, all right. Well, we're going to have to manually move these. That kind of sucks. So let's go ahead and move this up. We do need to shrink everything down a lot more. Oh my God, this is going to be so dense. Okay, so let's go ahead and move this in. Move this stuff in. So I think we're looking at, we're at 4. Let's go to 8. Yeah, that's about right. If I'm being honest. So we're going to say, let's move this down to here-ish. Okay, we're going to drag this over to the left. So you can see this is where we're going to get into the actual UV. So we'll want to move this. I mean, admittedly, I'm probably going to want to just move the texture over to the right a little bit so it'll be closer to like here. That's not too bad, so that's looking good. Let's go ahead and, well, actually, hold on. Let's try to position these a little bit better. Right about there-ish. Okay. So I'm going to put this at about here. That is about what I wanted for them. Cool. Let's do the same thing for these. Again, it's about what I wanted for them. They probably could be a little bit bigger, but that's not terrible. All right. Here is our vertical, which I'm pretty sure is going to fit. Oh, almost perfectly. So this is going to be at 270, I guess. Let's make sure that none of these stupid faces are flipped upside down. Cool. So that's all looking good. All right, so we're going to go to about here-ish. Nice. And then we're going to need to combine these. more time. About there. Ta-da. And it's almost a perfect fit. Oh, just so close. Um, so it looks like I'm going to need to refit this area a little bit. Not much, though, which is nice. And we can compensate by moving this down, moving these down, and moving this area down a little bit further. So that's good. Here is our top, which honestly does not really require much of anything. It could probably just like go there-ish, because players will never really be able to see it. I will probably do a texture of some kind there, but we will see how that ends up turning out. So this is our current fountain. It looks pretty decent, actually. I'm pretty happy with that. So let's go ahead and save. And before I make changes to the texture, I'm going to go ahead and model the bench, as well as the pedestals and plinths, so that we can make the texture changes all at once. Just have all of our various changes that we need. Do we have an ETA? I'm always very evasive about that question. I don't have a hard set date yet, but I would like by the end of this year to have the overworld finished. I know originally I was planning on having that done by the end of the summer, but my schedule was way crazier than I was expecting it to be, so I just could not get anywhere or anywhere near as much done as I wanted. So I'm hoping that I can finish up the overworld by the end of this year. And by finish, I don't necessarily mean polish finish. I just mean like all the mechanics are there, all the puzzles are there. It's at that point a matter of playtesting, as well as a matter of just me adding all the nice little touches that I like to add. And then from there, I will move on to the final bit of the game, which will. There are some changes that I want to make to the final bits of the game that I feel will speed up production, but also make it more interesting. So that I cannot give a hard set date on. But at the very least, I would say 2019 is optimistic. So closer to 2020 at this point, just because of my schedule getting crazier and crazier, it seems, every year. Um, so I will I will eventually finish it. I will finish it. That is, I promise you that. I will not stop or anything like that. Nothing short of me getting hit by a bus. And even then, I have measures in place. Um, but for now, let's go ahead and get back to modeling. So I am a little worried that I'm going to. Actually, no, it should be fine. The UV2 stuff is actually not that bad. So let's go ahead, hit save. Oh, yeah, an updated demo. Actually, I was planning on releasing an updated demo about a week out from GDEX. I got a little sidetracked, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get these castle set dressing assets in, so just like the fountain and the benches and all that, and then I'm going to push a new update to the website. So that will be a 2-year update that will have quite a bit of new features in it. Plus, everything will just feel much better. So I'm hoping to get that in a new demo probably by the end of this week. I might actually post on the Discord once I have a like demo candidate for the website. I might post on the Discord and say like, does anyone want to just do a couple of run-throughs of this and let me know of any major bugs that you find. And then if no one finds any terrible bugs, I will pop it on the website and we'll be good to go, at least as far as demos go. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this. That was our work for the fountain for now. And more or less, everything actually fell into about where I was expecting it to, texture-wise. So cool. Let's go ahead now and go ahead and collapse this. Collapse this. Delete some of this stuff. I made a duplicate scene of the castle for the modeling because I don't like having this be done in the exact same scene as the actual scene. So I'm going to try to delete as many of these things as I can. Just because there's no real reason for us to have these things. Alright, let's go ahead and save. I know that our texture for the fountain doesn't look like much now, but it will, by the end of tonight, look pretty nice. At least, hopefully it will. Okay, so now let's go for a bench. Oh, and by the way, actually, before I forget, this is what the rotation for this will be. By default, it will have a rotation of 22.5. Ta-da! Because I want it to be lined up with world axis. It just looks better that way. Okay, so next we're going to go ahead and create a new cube. Let's go ahead and move this around. Right to about here. So I'm just going to have two benches here. They're not going to be anything crazy. They're not going to be. They're not even going to have backs. Honestly, they're just going to have. They're going to be those like garden style benches that are just a seat. Okay, so for this, it's actually pretty easy. Although it's complicated by the fact that I'm pretty sure that I can't actually make. Oh no, I can. Nice. Let's make that about 0.5. I want to say. Okay. Trying to think about how I want to handle this. Let's go ahead and I guess we'll just mark this as the seat. So we'll make this have a width of 3, so 3 meters wide, with a height of, let's go for 0.25. That's not too bad, honestly. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's good enough, I think. Benches are usually at about, what, 2 feet, I feel. So we probably want this to have a height. Oh, that's interesting. It won't actually update. Okay, there we go. Let's change this to about 0.25. Hit done. Let's go down, down, down. Okay. Right up. So right about there, I think, is pretty good. Yep, that looks about right. Okay, let's go ahead and build a cube. Oh dear, it really sucks that I'm going to have to manually position this, but I will live. So I need to make 2 legs, which means I need 4 subdivisions. So let's go ahead and say subdivide edges. We're going to do it 4 times. Okay, so that's 1 leg, that's 1 leg. Yep, that's about right. Let's go ahead and close this. Honestly, at this point, it's not as much about programming and more about like me brute force animating and creating art. That is where most of the time sink goes nowadays. I do still have some programming to do, and I like to do the programming on air because programming I feel is the most interesting part of this, at least to watch. But most of it at this point is things like, doing what I'm doing here, making set dressing, doing what I'm doing in the overworld, which is animating cutscenes. It's just all a bunch of art heavy stuff, which is always the slowest part of game development. Um, okay, so you're gonna be nice and select. Oh, good, you are. So let's go ahead and say connect vertices. Connect vertices. And connect vertices. All right, let's go ahead and grab our. Oh, come on, work with. Oh, geez, you're in like the worst position. There we go. This is going to be fun too. So before I actually do anything else, I'm going to go ahead and save. Good. Okay. Right about there. That seems fine. Stop it. Ah, you're the worst. There we go. Right about there. That looks pretty good. Ugh, I'm just facing the wrong freaking way. Right about there. And right about there. Cool. So that is where our legs will come from. Um, yeah, probably should. All right. So we're going to subdivide all of these too. Because I'm going to need to subdivide that. And it froze. Hold on. Let's see. I wish I knew how to do any of the witchcraft you do. Well, I mean, at this point, honestly, I think the most helpful thing that I can ask from the community is just show the game to people and help get the word out because that helps a lot. Um, and thank you, William. Thank you for the host. Always happy to see the cheer train. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and subdivide these edges. We're gonna need just two subdivisions this time. So, oh wait, hold on. One, two. Yep, just two. So we're gonna go ahead and say subdivide edges. Let's grab these. We'll connect everything. Let's go ahead and do this in orthographic mode because it'll be a little easier that way. Hello, Bartway. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Oh, hi, Bartway. How are you doing tonight? Let's go ahead and say connect vertices. Let's connect these guys. Switch over to our edge mode. We're going to go to about, yep, right about there. That's what we're going to have to work with. Right about there. Those legs are looking pretty small. Might have to change how that leg orientation is handled. Or I suppose actually I can go ahead and just turn snapping on to like 0.1 instead of 0.25. So let's go. Oh, no. That's gonna, fine. Yeah, I'll just live with that. Right about there. Oh, this is gonna drive me nuts. Right about there. Oh, it's so sad. So busted. Let's see if we can get away with it. It's gonna be tough. Oh, good. We can. Hooray. Right about there. Let's go ahead and drag this to about right about there, I guess. Let's go there. We'll make it a little bit wider. Right about there. Cool. So that should be all we need for our actual bench in terms of modeling. Oh, that's so sad. So sad. So very sad. Great. So let's try to reposition these a little bit real quick. Might try, I don't know, having a social media presence for your game. I do have social media for my game and for my company. They are, however, poorly maintained. Well, not terribly maintained, but I do not maintain them as well as I should. Mostly because I hate social media. uh, okay, so we're gonna go ahead and extrude this down to about here, and nice. So that's our bench. Pretty straightforward, nothing crazy there. Let's go ahead and UV it. First things first, I suppose. Let's go ahead and apply our material to it. And then try to figure out what the frig is going on with this UV map. Good God. I think I actually can tell what it is. I don't know what this is. Is that the side of it or something? Seriously, what are you? Where is this face coming from? I'm deeply confused. Huh. Okay, well, let's try to figure out what it's not then. And that is going to be weird. Okay, so first things first, let's go ahead and select all of this. And then we're going to deselect this, which means that I'm going to have to reselect this. Oy, okay, yeah, never mind. So we're going to try to figure this out. What are you? You're the side. Why aren't you highlighting? Oh, because I'm in object mode, that's why. Duh. Let's see. I put everything into one GeoCities page and kept that up to date. Google Plus. That's dead now. No one cares about that. I forgot that there was a Google Plus page for the company. Um, I guess that makes sense. It was created back when Google Plus was like on everything. Okay, so it's just those two sides. That's super awkward. Oh, good. You got part of the side too. There we go. Okay, now let's try that again. Move this down, which means that that's probably what this is. Ugh, geez, the worst. Like the most annoying, frustrating thing to work with. Okay, and what are you? You're just the sides again. Cool. Let's try to get these off to the side so that we can just focus on those. Same thing, I'm assuming. Or are you below? Nope, you're the ones below it. Cool. Well, I don't actually need these, so I guess I can delete these faces. Um, but now, for benches, I'll just leave them on. I like to have some flexibility there. But I will go ahead and slide these off to the side. And I will move these guys back over. Right about there. You have a follower and no posts. MySpace is the future. I really should just, move over to that. It's the best place to reach your audience. I guess. Oh, that's true. The TextQuest site does have Google Plus on there, doesn't it? Uh, I didn't think about that. Yep. That's one less social media icon, I guess, I need up there. I could probably actually replace that Google Plus icon with the YouTube channel now. Now that I think about it, it's probably a better move anyway. So I'm going to make a note of that so that I don't forget to do that. Replace Google Plus with YouTube. Thank you for that, Scorpio. That is actually going to be a nice improvement to the website. Okay. So let's get back to this. So I'm assuming this is our top and our bottom. Yep. Aha, I was right, because I'm always right. And all that's really going to be is just our bench. However, it does mean that I'm going to need to do a couple of things. One, we're going to try to grab these and move them out. Jeez, are you serious? Get rid of you. And, okay, there we go. So I'm going to move this, and then I'm going to try to scale this just to see if they stay together. Good, they do, so I don't have to group them. Which means I don't actually care about that. I thought I was going to have to group them all. Let's go ahead and grab this. I think we're pretty much at a point where I can scale everything, so let's go ahead and do that. We're just going to position these things on top of one another, which is actually, now that I think about it, exactly what these things are going to be doing. Just position those on top of one another. Let's go ahead and grab these, slide them over, slide them up. So the bench is going to have to be pretty heavily refactored. I think the legs are just all kinds of wrong now. Sounds good. And your Twitter has almost nothing besides you posting about your streams. Yeah, that's very true. What I really need to do is set up a process for me just pumping out screenshots and content. Because I started doing that at some point, but it's always from my personal account, not from the actual game's Twitter. I guess I could have the game like retweet it, but yeah, it's been hard to consistently pump those things out because I don't like showing the exact. I don't like doing what a lot of people do, which is where you get like one level built and then you just take one screenshot of it from one direction, you post that, and then like 2 days later you post basically the same level, but just from a different angle. I don't like doing that. I mean, it's fine. It's fine for certain projects, but like I personally don't feel like that's enough of a change for me to post about. I always want to make sure that like whenever I post it's something that's really cool and new, and I overthink these things way too much. Anywho, so I'm gonna go ahead and move this over here. We're gonna grab this and scale. I think we went up to about 8, which is maybe. Maybe. Uh, Probably that might be. Well, actually, that's not too bad. Let's go ahead and grab these things, slide them over. Grab these things, slide them over to here. What are you? Are you the sides? You're the sides. Okay, cool, cool. Oh, let's grab this. We're gonna slide this over to here. Grab this, move this up. Let's try to position these things. So this was originally going to be over here. That is really not the best right here, I guess. Probably we could shrink that down a little bit. These are our legs from the side. Also not going to work super well, which I actually feel means that I can scale these up a little bit more. So let's go ahead and grab, well, actually, before I do that, let's go ahead and move these up to here. Yeah, so let's grab these. And I'm going to say 4. Okay, how about 0.15? That is better. Hmm. So let's go ahead. Work with me here. Move this over to about here. Looking at this from the top, we actually want to do something like position it center about there. Our legs are better now. You can see that they kind of match up, at least for the vertical parts of them, which we can reposition a bit right about there. We're going to need to basically completely redo the. Geez, are you just like way off compared to everyone else? Kind of. It's super awkward. All right, let's see. Leg. All of you are just kind of off compared to everyone. Slide you. Work with me. Yeah. Oh, come on. It's like it's refusing to like let me grab the actual z-axis. There we go. Jeez. Um, okay, so that's that. Um, so I think the moral here is that we want to shrink down the stone text a little bit, and then we will be pretty much good. I guess I'm probably going to want to rotate this. So let's flip you 180. And actually, for the bottom, I need to flip it in the U-axis. So let's go ahead and do that, if it will let me. Which it will not, because of course it will not. Stop it. I will murder. There we go. See, yep, I knew it was going to do that. Grab this, this, and this. This, and this. Oh. There we go. All right, so now we can go ahead and just flip in the U, which puts things really far away, but it does put them in the correct direction at the very least. Let's see. Let's slide this to about here. Okay, there we go. So that's bench, stone for the most part fitting on there. Okay, so we're doing pretty good on that. So for the actual bench, I think the only thing we need to do is we can move our leg stuff over a fair amount, and we need to make our stone a little easier to use, which might end up meaning that we have 2 of these, or in all honesty, I probably can just like blow blow these up. So instead of having them be at 15, they could just be at like that. And that would be perfectly acceptable, I think. Of course, the challenge there then becomes, yeah, it's not going to work very well now, is it? Come on. You can do it. So this needs to be flipped in the U, as does this. Flipped in the U again. Because otherwise it's going to look incorrect. And for this, I'm just going to drag it off to the side. Or I would if it would let me grab it. Ugh, come on. You could do this. There we go. So actually we would want this to be right. Oh my god. It's going to drive me mad. There we are. We actually want this to be about over here so they line up properly. Alright, let's see here. So we're going to come over to here, grab U. Let's move this over to about there, and then finally we will end with this. Alright. So we're looking at right about there. And let's hope that that lines up perfectly. I get the feeling that it will not, but you know, it's worth a shot. Oh my god. If it ever lets me move them, it will be worth it. Alright, so let's see. Ooh! 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 Wow. Perfect. It did line up. That is very convenient. There might be a slight discrepancy, but it's not bad at all. Delicious. I love it. Cool. Well, that worked out far better than I was expecting it to. So yeah, I just have to do some small leg repositioning for the bench texture, and I think it will be good. So let's go ahead and save this. So all we have left now are some plinths and some pedestals, and then we should be able to just redo the texture, make it in substance, and then we can end the night with some quick polybrush painting. So let's go ahead and move on to the pedestals and the plinths. So pedestals and plinths are the same thing. They are stone bases, well, not stone. They are bases that are usually underneath things like sculptures or busts, pretty much anything that you would, put on a pedestal. So I wanted to have both of them, both plinths and pedestals, because one, it's variety, and two, plinth is just an unusual word, and I love putting unusual words in the architecture. So let's go ahead and we're going to move our UV map off. I'm going to make a new cube. It is going to be actually pretty standard size. I think we're going to have 3 pedestals. Well, we're going to have 2 pedestals and 1 plinth. Or maybe technically it'll be 2 plinths and 2 pedestals, but I'm only going to have 1 model for the plinths. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and say 3 by 3 by 3. That looks pretty good. So this is going to be the big pedestal. This pedestal is going to go over here, like right about here. Like something big and obvious to have you look at it as you're walking through the hallway. And yeah, 3 meters by 3 meters honestly seems about right for this. So let's go ahead and let's change this so that snapping settings are set to 1. Yeah, that's pretty good. So let's go ahead and just say create that. Let's see. TextQuest has 12 posts in 3 years. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Yeah, I would appreciate help on the social media front, but again, I feel like I need to get some sort of system in place where I can produce content. Um, it might be okay if I can do a couple of key things. One would be getting the new demo up. Obviously, that'd be a big one. Two would be completing the overworld so that I can have a lot of new areas to screenshot, maybe at least like once or twice a week. And then the other interesting thing that I could try to do is basically, oh, and I should name these things so I don't forget what these are. Uh, but one of the big things that I could do is finish up the custom game engine, where you not a custom game engine, but the custom game, like the custom text adventure stuff, and then release that out and be like, make your own stuff and have fun with it. Because then I could start posting content from the community, but that's also a bit more involved. Um, okay, so first things first, I'm going to go ahead and bump this up. Let's say we're going to say about 0.5, so let's go ahead and move you up by 1. Then we're going to go ahead and grab our face here. We are going to extrude this out by 0.5. We're going to extrude. We're not going to extrude this. We're just going to move this down by 0.5. And then we're going to move this down one more by 0.5. And then we're going to extrude it up by 0.5. So we're at the same bounds that we were before, 3 by 3 by 3, but now our center is a little, now our edges are going to be in that bounds instead of being extra. Oh, come on, seriously, clicking through stuff. Let's grab this. So we're going to shrink this in, which it would probably be easier to actually go ahead and do this. This is going to be awkward. Okay. So we are now shrunk into about 2.5 by 2.5 by 3, or 2.5 by 3 by 2.5. And we want to extrude these back out by 2.5 in all directions. Okay, so let's go ahead and say extrude faces. It's going to go out in the direction of the face normal. It's going to be in 0.25 in all directions. X. Same thing down here. Same thing. All right. It sucks because now my freaking pivot is in a weird spot. And it's even worse because if I just center it, it's going to be all kinds of wrong, which just makes me sad. Oh well, it's not the worst case scenario. Um, okay, so with this, I am going to, let's see. Yeah, and as I get closer to being complete in certain areas, I'm definitely going to send things out for alpha tests, particular on the Discord, um, which, haha, I'm pretty sure that I have that. Haha, got to advertise, as they say. Um, but yeah, as I reach certain landmarks, certain milestones, I'm going to try to do more alpha testing. That probably means that I'm going to at some point try to implement Trello bug reporting. We'll see what I can get done with that. But kind of a first bit of testing for that will be how seeing how the community reacts to testing the demo out a little bit and just kind of giving feedback on that. Anyway, let's go ahead and hit apply here. So this is now going to go into our UV. I'm pretty happy with this. This is kind of all I wanted from my pedestal. I was kind of going for that stereotypical European pedestal style, not quite Greek, so it's a little more boxy. So we're going to go ahead and move this over to here. Let's grab all of this. this is where it does get a little finicky, because originally I was going to have this be a lot lower. Maybe I can get away with that, actually. Hold on. Let's see. No, I need it to be a tall one. Um, the other ones can be longer, but this one needs to be square. That's a little disappointing. That's going to make things so much harder. Well, let's just see what we can do here. What are you even selecting? There we go. So these are our faces. Cool. Well, I guess actually the first thing we should do is reduce this down to size. And then from there, we can move things around. This view in. Come on. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, let's go ahead and move pretty much everything, or rather group everything. So the top and the bottoms are going to be grouped together. Okay, so let's go ahead and group these selected faces. Then group these. Cool. So now I can scale these down to 8, and those should remain roughly intact, and they do, which is nice. Let's go ahead and move this around. I'm assuming this is our side? Yeah, okay. One thing I think should be included is special colors for the hero, so the default is right. Stuff for being the game we're taking to words like black, peach, or azure, or other colors like that. So I actually kind of have something like that, in the sense that it's it's not really special colors that you can choose for your hero, but as you do things like if you beat normal mode, then you'll unlock the ability to make all text yellow, instead of the default white. And then if you beat Sierra mode, you'll, unlock the ability to make all text red or stuff like that. Basically, giving you color rewards for doing specific things in the game. I haven't thought about doing things like beta testing or playing it at conventions, mostly because playing it at conventions would be very hard for me to do. I would have to give away a code, and I would have to be at like pretty much imminently launching at that point, which would be possible, but it would be something that I would have to figure out how to do properly. Beta testing would be a little bit easier because again, that would essentially be a code, but since it would be beta testers, I'd be more confident giving that out at a random interval almost. Let's go ahead and move this in, move this in, right about there, and this is our side. All right, so this is where things get a little dicey. This is our center, but with these, yeah, so I'm gonna have to restructure the pedestals and plinths a lot to make them fit. But for the time being, at the very least, we can get the sides looking decent. So we can go ahead and move this over to pedestal, which of course is too long. But that's okay, because we're figuring out how we want to handle this. So yeah, that's going to need a lot of empty space, which is not ideal. Normally I would try to fill this with like background words like stone, but I'm kind of okay since it's far away, just leaving it more basic. Let's try to rotate these. I'm going to say 90 to 70 it is. These get to go 90, and these can go 180. But yeah, I would like to reward players with unlockables and other such things. I'm not sure if I want to do necessarily like special skins for doing special things outside of the game. Mostly because I don't like that's something that's frustrating to me personally whenever I play games with DLC and they're like, "Oh, special version of this special thing that you can't get otherwise." Of course, I guess it would be fine if I made it so that you could get them through in-game actions, but then that makes it feel less special for the testers. There's no good way to do this. Oh wow, yeah, that's just all kinds of crap. Uh, hmm. Okay, so the pedestals and the plinths have like severe reworkings that are necessary. Like just lots and lots has to be redone there. Unfortunate, but true. I still think that we'll be fine. It'll just be a matter of reworking it a little bit, just reconfiguring this. Um, it's gonna be tough though. It might actually be impossible to do square ones. No, it will. It'll work. It'll work. I just have to do something very specific. So I think my pedestals will be square and my plinths will be rectangular. That will make things a little bit easier on me. Um, so this is one pedestal. I will now show you the second one that I'm going to make. Let's drag this off to the side again. Let's go ahead. I'm actually just going to rename this to pedestal. And let's go ahead and make a new cube with dimensions of 2 by 2. Honestly, that might be enough. The idea behind the plinths was that they were going to be kind of like these side pieces almost to the actual pedestals. So we'll have one pedestal over here, and then we'll have another pedestal over here between two plinths. So honestly, this is all I really kind of need for this. So let's go ahead and just go. I might make them a little oblong. That's fine. Let's go ahead and create this. And I think what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to move the top in a little bit. Just a smidge. Can't go that far though, which means that I'm actually going to move this out. Gross. I don't want to do that. Give me a second here. So I'm going to move this. Let's go ahead and move this. And move this to be about there. All right, so that's pretty good. I think that puts it at about 3. Yeah, so it's a little bit farther than the pedestal itself, but it's smaller, so it should be fine. Okay, let's go ahead and apply our material here. Let's take a look at this in the UV editor. All right, let's switch over to the face. Yeah, this is where things are going to get super awkward. I'm assuming that's okay. That's not what I was assuming. So that's the left. Let's try to position these. So that's left. That's the right. This is the center. Grab these things. Okay, looking good, looking good. Let's go ahead and move this. So these are our sides. Cool. Let's go ahead and just grab these, shrink them down to 8. Let's reposition them. Move this down. Go to here, move this over. Boom. Cool. So for this, it's going to behave itself. This should be our front, which is a little more vertical than I had anticipated. But that is not the end of the world, because I'm actually not going to need this top plinth part anymore. I can just make use of the middle one, and I can just move that around. And then move this up to about here. That's that. Let's go ahead and move these two guys right next to each other. Alright, so that's the sides, which I will then move over to here because they are not going to work with our current texture. I can move this to about here, which is almost going to work with the current texture, but not quite. So cool, cool. So yeah, the pedestals and the plinth stuff is really throwing me off. The bench and the fountain were not bad at all, but yeah, this stuff is really going to have to be repacked in a completely different manner. Um, okay, brief stretch, brief stretch. Got to stretch out all the parts and take a drink. Ah. Oh, and I also forgot to do this, but it's probably good to have the art label up. Cool. So I now have all of this set up. Stretching. I should have an action for that. Yeah. Um, just have my guy do his like little stretching motion or something. Uh, oh man, that's another thing that I just have not had the time to do. I really want to add more stuff to my 3D or my 3D, my digital avatar, but there's not enough time. There's no time, man. Okay, so let's go ahead and bounce back to here. Let's open up our Illustrator file. Okay, so this is our current layout. It is not what we want. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna put the UV stuff off to the side because I need to just quickly glance at it for stuff. So here's our fountain UV, which is pretty much correct. We can compact our labels a little bit more. So I'm gonna say we can move this. Let's say we can move this down. So we're gonna move this down to about here. We are going to move this down to about here. We are going to move this down to about here. Okay. I'm also going to go ahead and slide this over to about there, just to give us more room. And here is where things get interesting, because we are going to now shrink this into about here probably, while also moving it down to about Alright, here's where things get tough. Thinking. Right about there, I think. Um, this is not going to work out very well. So, bounce over to here. Let me check the bench. Bench goes to about the O, right about here. So I can move this into about here comfortably. And then I can move this down to about here comfortably, I guess. But this leg is still not great. Well, first things first, let's get this leg in there. I think I could probably go to about here and still be safe. But that doesn't really give me a lot of room with this leg. I can shrink it so we can make this 60. That would probably help. We might go as low as 45. It's not ideal, but I think that would actually be more achievable. Okay, so let's try that. We're going to crank this up to about here. Oh, right. That's where that becomes a problem. We have to move the stone. Yep. That sucks. Okay. So this is gonna get awkward. Very awkward. Okay, I think I know what to do. Um, we are going to. This is super weird. We are going to move. Oh. Oh no, did I put it somewhere stupid? It's part of that, because of course it is. That's fine. So this is going to be super awkward. I essentially want to move this all the way down to here. Oop, right about there. Move our stone appropriately down with it to be about there. I'm going to try to hug that a little bit more so I can get some extra space. Let's actually change this. So this height is going to be that. Let's go -16. Can I get away with that? I'm going to say yes. I'm actually going to say I can get away with a -16 again. Okay, so I'm confident that I can do a couple of things. There we go. It's tight, but I think it'll fit, so we can go ahead and do that. And then that will let me actually move the fountain up to about here, which will let me move my bench, which is kind of awkward, up to about here. So I can then move these all up to here. And that means I can have a square space for my pedestal over there. So I should now be able to do this. Oh, this is just going to be so messy. Like, really bad. I think my bench is going to move to be on top of absolutely everything for now. So it'll be easier that way. I don't need this plinth anymore. And I don't. So I'm going to delete this, and I don't think I need this anymore. Are you? You're not. That's unfortunate. That's really going to make things difficult for me. Okay, so can I go to the halfway point? I think I can. It's just going to be a little bit of a squish. Okay, last thing, right about here. Let's go ahead and move this into here, and this will go down to about here. I want to say. And from there, I think we're pretty much in a good spot. I think our tops for the pedestal might be a little awkward, but I think it will work. Okay, so let's try. I'm going to make a quick fountain design. Let me come back over here. I'm going to select the fountain so that I can kind of eyeball that design. Let's come over to here. Let's go ahead and say inner select. Right about here. Let's go ahead and duplicate. Nope, work with me here. Let's duplicate fountain. Let's move that into inner over here. We're going to grab this. We're just going to move this over to here. I'm going to say right about here is where I want to start, and then it's just going to get smaller and smaller going up. All right, let's go ahead and change our font size to 48. Let's move it in just a little bit. I think I'm going to try to space these out a little bit more so they're not quite as dense. Let's duplicate this. Got the hiccups. Let's change our font size to 36. I will also have our fonts be centered for this because that'll just make moving these around a lot easier. It means that I just won't constantly have to like drag them around. I can just move them up basically. Let's go ahead and duplicate this. Move it up. Change our font size to 24. I think I'm going to try to space this out a little bit better. Like there, there because it's actually much more of a vertical orientation than I was making it. Okay, let's go ahead and duplicate this. Move it up to here. Let's go to 18. And probably one more, and then I think we'll be done. Okay, 12. Let's put it right about there. Cool. Let's go ahead and grab all of these, move them up just a little bit. Okay, so now we should be able to re-export this. So let's go ahead and save as. Save it as an SVG, replace it, that's fine, hit OK. Let's come back to here. All that's updated now. Looking good, so let's go ahead and re-UV everything. Try to get it to look nice. Let's save this out. All right. Come back to here, looking good. And boom! Now everything's all borked. Okay. Pedestal. Right, I forgot I needed to shrink that. Let's go ahead and make that change real quick. Oh, right, hold on. Let's grab this. So we're going to make this have a spacing of -100, I'm going to say. Right about there. Seems about right. Might as well go ahead and save this out. I do wish I had a faster process for getting this iteration done, but I really don't. Alright, let's drag this all in. Place the file, come back. Boom! Probably I could shrink it, or stretch it a little bit, but that's fine for now. Let's go ahead and grab... Let's see what our fountain is, because that's going to be the one that's got the most issues, most likely. That almost worked perfectly, actually. Wow. Ah, man. That worked very well. Like, surprisingly so. All right, let's go ahead and move everything up. So we're going to say, move these things up to about here. So you can see that we are a little off center here. Let's try to wrap that around right about there. Let's grab all of these guys, move them down. Okay, so we're looking pretty good there. I feel like we could probably stretch that a little bit. I actually almost feel like I should move this to me right about there. Okay. Yeah, I think we could stretch these, actually. Make them much longer. For now, though, they are fine. Let's go ahead, grab these, and get rid of you. I was almost correct, though. That's actually good enough. I was right, though, that I was starting to compress them too much. I actually think that's fine because there's going to be a surface of water there, which I totally did not forget to model. I totally did not forget that. I don't know why you would suggest that I would be, or why I would have forgotten those things. Funny enough, I almost want to actually break these top faces out, like these things, and make them basically like the bottom here where they just say fountain. I might actually do that. They probably won't look very nice, though. For the time being, I'm simply going to fix the sides. Let's go ahead and go down to here. Let's move this out to about here. Out there. Cool. So that's our fountain, which is off center, so right about there. Nice. So that's our fountain now. Everything looks pretty good on that, except for the top. Let's look at our bench real quick. And before we do that even, hold on. I was right. I did not need it to be that tall. So that's the stone. Here's the top of our bench, which is really close, but I think it's fine. Okay. Now the leg. Eh. Admittedly, it feels a little lazy, but I think that's fine. Um, if I made it too dense, I feel like it would actually be very difficult to read at that distance. Because again, keep in mind you're not going to be able to walk up to these things. You're gonna have to see these from like here, basically. So the bigger I can make, the bigger I make the words, the better off we'll be. In all honesty. Okay, so we're looking pretty good so far. Now we move on to the really tough stuff, which is going to be our actual. Our pedestals. Um, let's go ahead and just say screw it. Okay, there we are. That is way worse because pedestal is way too wide. Um, so ironically, we need to shrink the width of our full-size pedestal, and we need to increase the width of our lips. Because of course. However, we do at the very least have the pedestal top kind of working. I don't think I need them to have. So you'll notice that I have different colors for the lip versus the base model. I was originally going to make the color of the lip a little different, but I feel like I can just make them the same color and have shadows do the work. So we can get rid of that, and that will essentially solve our excuse me, our pedestal problem. In particular, it will really help actually if we can get the plinth to look okay, um, which is going to be tough. I might have to shrink its height down just a little bit. So like I could try moving this down to there. And that will actually just about do it, I think. So now I can. So these are our sides. This is our top. That's our bottom. Well, welcome back from cuddling, Palm Tree. Hopefully it went well. I say that as if there's really kind of a way to fuck that up somehow. Um, I'm trying now. I'm trying to think of like how you would mess up cuddling. Like all I can think is that you like I can't even can't even really think of a scenario. Um, all right, so this is our plinth, which now we have a little bit of extra room, which I'm pretty sure means I could slide it down to right about here, and then I can make the pedestal slide over, and then I can move this pedestal up and in, and that would let us have a square presentation for it, and I think that would work. I think maybe. Heading out. All right. Well, thanks for stopping by, Scorpio. I'm glad that school has slowed down a little bit. It's nice seeing everyone again. Um, so take it easy. And let's see, how many people do I work with? It's just me. It is just me. That is why the art is terrible and the code is sloppy. uh, okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move this over to. Actually, hold on, I can't see what I'm doing. So this is our side. Yep, my name is Chris. That is correct. The one and only, except for all the other Chris's in the world, because it's a very common name. Uh, So this is our top, which is probably going to go about here. I can't have nice things. Yeah. Harumph. Harumph, harumph, harumph. So I have some wasted space here that I might be able to utilize. Maybe I can shrink the bench down even further and just spread it out to be a little wider. Maybe? No, that wouldn't really work very well. Dang it. Pedestals. The pedestals are killing me. I could get super creative, and instead of having my texture be like organized like sensibly, I could split this fountain stuff in half and have half of it here, the other half over here, and then have my fountain in the middle here. But that wouldn't really help me too much. Um, Jeez, it just sucks. Don't really know what to do here. Um, Freaking texture work always has me hemming and hawing. Well, I think what we can do is first things first. I'm gonna go ahead and save, and then I'm just gonna quickly iterate through. So the fountain is pretty much golden. Um, there are a few things that could probably go better with it, but for the most part, it's good to go. Um, and actually, I'm gonna go ahead and while we're here, let's go ahead and just fly over here. I am going to just decouple these top ones. Let's grab these. Oh, come on, work with me. So I'm going to break the selected group, which is going to be fun. Okay. So I essentially have to do what I was doing before, so like 2.5. 16 minus 2.5. Work with me. 2.5 times 3. 67.5. 5 times 5. 360 minus this. Alright, and then 2.5 times 7. 60. Oh! Dang it. I borked that up. Because I always do. Okay. And I guess I can show you all what I'm doing. It's pretty much what we were doing when we were rotating everything. So I'm just going to position this all on top of one another, basically. Okay. Let's move these over to here. This down to here. Move this. Okay. Move this. All right. Okay. Kind of zoned out there. Sorry. Um, I probably will actually also cheat. I'm going to scale it up manually, which I almost never do. Oh, and of course it's going to make them scale into different positions. Because I can't have nice things, as we've established. Okay, so let's go ahead and move this over to here. Move these things over to about here. And it's going to have to be blown up a fair amount more. Right about there, I get the feeling. Boosh. Right about there. Okay. Oh, we're so close. Come on. Right about there. It's a little awkward, but it's okay. Cool. So that is our fountain. Our fountain's done. It's perfect. If I could just figure out some way to get these spaces filled in. Gross. That would work. So I could move the bench down and then extend it to about here and then add another section over here for this leg. So it'll be a little weird, but it'll fit better. Then I can have more room for plinth and side stuff. Because our bench is still good, right? Our bench is done. It's all functional and all looks nice. You're upside down again. Did you seriously get reversed? Can I flip you? Or no? You won't let me, huh? Okay. Yep. Cool. Cool. Let's try this real quick. Cool. That's better. All right. So that's the bench. The bench is done. Bench is done. Dunzo. Finito. They're gone. Go ahead and slide these over. I will position them on top of one another. And I will slide them back. Right about there. And about there. Cool. So that's that. So the bench is done. The fountain is done. Slight font spacing changes, but nothing terrible there. The main difficulty comes from our plinths, which are just all kinds of not working. So if I can move this down, I can shrink my pedestal in, then I think, yeah, okay. I think I know what I can do here. So we're going to save that. I'm going to drag this off to the side just so that I can see where everything is. And then I'm going to go back to here, file, recent files, Illustrator, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab our bench. So we're going to move this to about here. We're going to move this up. Actually, here. Let's just do this. We're going to move this down to here. And I mean, I can probably position this to about here. We can move this. Hold on. So I can see the guidelines a little bit more clearly. So we can move this to about the third above the F. So right about here. Let's get away from that. So we can get away with this. Move this over here for now. We can put this right about here. And I think we'll be fine. And then I can duplicate this path. Move it over to here. Slide this way over like that. And then we can do this. Here's where things get a little iffy. I'm not entirely sure how much space I have. I've got a fair amount of space. Okay. So I think what I can do here is just move this over to about here. And then I think we're going to have enough room for this leg and this leg, which means that we now have far more room for the pedestal up here, which I can now make size 60, size 48. We're going to go all in to make it smaller. This can actually spread out a little bit, so we're going to make that be negative. Let's try 50. I'm going to be risk takers here. Our plinth is going to go right about here, which now will open up. No, this is getting smaller. Also, this is going away. So this is going to shrink down to 45 or 48 as well. It can be a little wider, which is fine. I think we're going to make it 0. Let's see if we can get away with this. This is going to be a little awkward, but I think it will work. I'm just trying to think everything through. I honestly think I'm just going to be lazy and I'm just going to do this. Okay. So minor changes, you will see what was so minor about them, but they are important. Let's go ahead and save this out. SVG. Okay, that's that. Let's go ahead and save this out. Ugh, man. Ta-da! So let's go ahead and grab this. Go into face mode. Alright. So here is this. So this is our center. It's pretty much exactly where I want it to be now. Let's go ahead and grab our sides, which are a little squished, but I think that's okay. I'm going to grab these guys, and then I'm going to grab all of this. We're going to move you to about there. Let's go ahead and deselect this. And we will deselect you. Okay, so here's our main ones up top, which I'm just going to cheat and scale in. Okay. Okay. So that looks pretty decent. We need to stretch the text at the top pedestal a little bit, which does mean that I'm going to actually grab these and just scale them up about like there-ish. Okay. Plinths are going to be a little more complicated, but not really, because I'm just going to take the lazy way out. So we're going to put that there. Let's go ahead and position these. Oh, that's the bottom, right? Okay, grabbing these. Here is our top, which normally would be a problem, but again, I'm just going to scale it because I really don't think it needs to be super nice on top. And then the same thing for the sides. We're just going to scale them up. The reason I was trying to avoid scaling is because when I do scaling on individual faces, then the normal maps can get a little rough. But since we're, again, going to be pretty far away from them, I am really not that concerned with it. I don't think that it will be much of a problem, if a problem at all. Okay, this all looks good. I did totally forget to handle the spacing on the fountain a little bit more, but that's okay. Let's just fix our bench, and then we'll do some minor text alterations, and then we'll be basically ready to go as far as the substance stuff goes. All right. So let's position these. We have our legs. Right, so we have our bench legs positioned right here, which we will need to rotate 90 degrees. Apparently we'll need to rotate them more than that. Now the question is, okay, good, they both say leg, that's all good. Okay, and yes, we did manage to just squeeze in our bench. So we can slide you over to about there. Cool. So that is all of our models. Fountain, bench, and our plinths. Plinths and pedestals. Pretty basic for the pedestals, but again, they don't have to be super fancy. So, perfectly fine. Cool. Let's go ahead and save. And now we're going to make some last minute alterations. Hello, the real Kleinba. Does it cut out? Yeah, it. So the microphone that I use has an automatic noise gate that will attempt to basically reduce white noise by just stopping transmitting if I'm not making volume above a certain threshold. Which unfortunately means that if, like, as I start talking and as I stop talking, it kind of like chips away at the beginning and ending of my sentence a little bit. If I keep talking in a continuous sentence, then it doesn't really do anything, but it is a bit of a problem. I actually have a better microphone that I have hooked up to my computer now. I just have not tested it. And it's going to be interesting because I'm going to have to get used to talking into a mic as opposed to talking into my headset. But I think that it will produce better audio quality overall. So I might give that a try on the next Devstream. Just because, yeah, it is pretty frustrating to have to to have to do this really weird song and dance to try and make it not sound terrible whenever I talk. Okay, let's go ahead and say File, open recent files. We're going to go ahead and change this top pedestal to be, I'm going to say add extra 50 to it. We're going to add probably the same thing about here. Honestly, I bet I can go to 100 on Fountain. And that should be good. So let's go ahead and save this out. And I will show you what I'm working on. So I'm going to go ahead and just say save as, save out as an SVG. But I guess I can talk about it in the meantime. So I'm working on a first-person text-based adventure called Text Quest, where everything in the game is literally made up of text. So walls say the word wall, grass says grass, giant spider says giant spider, and you actually interact with everything by typing into a parser. So once this is done, I can show you what the aesthetic looks like, although you might be able to guess based on the textures and my description. Dang, I could have gone wider for the pedestal. So as you can see, everything is actually made up of text. Go ahead and deselect this so we can fly around. So wall say wall, grass says grass, king says king. And if I had particle effects turned on, you'd be able to see that fire says fire. That's a pretty awesome emote, like a super heart. But yeah, if you are curious, there is a demo on the website, which, as has been pointed out in this Devstream, I severely need to update because it's just 2 years out of date by this point. Oh, and let's see, how did the fountain turn out? Yeah, I think, yeah, 100 was the correct call. Ooh, I don't like that they don't line up, though. That's kind of awkward. I could probably try to solve that. Oh, it's just going to be a nightmare. Okay. This is going to suck. So gameplay is inspired by old school classic text parser games, which means that you actually type what you want to do into a parser. And I'm going to show you what I'm doing. I'm just doing some cleanup on the UVs here. So if you want to open a door, for example, you would type open door. If you want to eat an apple, you would type eat apple. And if you want to slap a rock with a fish, then you type slap rock with fish, and it will give you a completely unique output based on the inputs and the subjects. All right, there we are. So that, that makes things a little bit lean left, I feel. So we can go ahead and try to line these up a little bit better, right about there. Yeah, that's much better. If you'll let me slide it around, it'll be much better. Ta-da. Yeah, so now it's more centered. Cool. So not go to fountain, because if you want to move around, then it's first person controls. So I guess what I could do, let's go ahead and save this real quick. And I'm going to close this. I'm just going to jump over to the castle real quick. And I'm going to show you what gameplay is like. So this is what gameplay is once it actually plays. Oh crap, I forgot about the shape tool. Oh, that's going to suck. It's going to be like right in the middle of it. I think I actually do have appreciate. Or maybe I have appraise, but not appreciate. All right. So you move around with classic first-person controls, so WASD to move. You can sprint, you can jump, because what kind of monster would take away your ability to jump? Crouch, do all that stuff. But then, if you want to interact with stuff, you'll actually type what you want to do. I'm pretty sure I have appreciate. I don't have appreciate, but I do have. Do I not have appraise either? I don't have appraise. Oh, I'm so sad. I don't have either of those things. We're gonna have to add those. So you can say like look at armor. It'll give you a description of it. You can try to take it, but you can't necessarily take all things. You can say we can try to eat it. You know, probably wouldn't be a good idea though. We can, we can hit it. Basically, do a bunch of different things to it, and then you can do that to not every single object in the game, but for most objects. The easy way to tell is if the cursor changes, and then of course if you try to interact with stuff when you're not close enough, it'll say not close enough. But yeah, that's the basics of it. Kind of a simple concept, but it's pretty fun to work with. So, okay, I'm going to jump back to my castle modeling. All right, and actually, you know what? We don't even need to do that. We can just go ahead and close this. Close this. Let's go ahead and just say file, open recent files. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to skip making the substance part right now, and I'm just going to jump straight into exporting these models and then positioning them in the main scene after I paint some, after I do some quick vertex painting, just because the substance stuff is probably going to take me 30 minutes at least. So let's go ahead. Oh, jeez, it always gets me. Stop that. Let's grab our fountain again. So I'm going to export. Actually, before I export it, I do need to go ahead and say generate UV2. So let's go ahead and say generate that. Then let's go ahead and say tools if Unity will let me. Pro Builder, export. We're going to export this as an asset. So we're going to go to Pro Builder, uh, Pro Builder models. Let's go to the castle. Um, let's go to new folder. We're going to call this Castle Garden Props. Let's go into here. I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to call this the Fountain. And we'll hit open and we'll save that. Where are you coming in from? Or I guess where are you watching from? I'm assuming if it's quite late there, then it's somewhere in Eastern Europe. Or Europe in general. Because that's like I think that's a 5-hour difference from here. Pretty sure. Something like that. Which is not nothing to sneeze at. Anyway, so that now put us Pro Builder Models, Castle, right about here. So that is our prefab for that. Let's go ahead and rename this. This is going to be our plinth. Let's go ahead and, oh, actually before I forget, make sure that this has UV2s. Nice. So let's go ahead. Select this, take a look at my UV2s, which I think exist. Okay. From Switzerland? Yep, then that would be pretty late. So not quite Eastern Europe, but not quite Western Europe. So Central Europe. What's your project? And by your project, I'm assuming that means that you're also a game developer? I always like to ask people when they come on. Okay, so we have our UV. Let's go ahead and say tools, export. This always gets me. Export, asset. Go into the same spot. Models, castle, garden props, new. I'm just going to call this bench. Hit save. Okay. Take a look at that. UV2, UV3, UV4, and colors, which I don't really need the UV3 and 4s, but sure, why not? Okay, so that's working pretty well. Somewhat decent DDR style rhythm game for VR in Unity with no real experience. That's going to be hard. Making any game is hard enough, but making a rhythm game is particularly difficult, especially if you're like me and don't have rhythmic senses. And it's even harder because you're in VR, which means you have to be incredibly stringent with your performance. So you have to have very, very well done performance. Oh, geez, hold on. You essentially just have to optimize the hell out of your game. So I'm going to go ahead and I got to move these things around a little bit because they need to be centered a little bit more. Nice. And the pedestal itself up top is pretty good, actually. Bottom, it's fine. It's good enough. And the plinth is all good. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit save. And now that I've done that, I'm going to have to, no, I can just export it. Cool. So let's go ahead and say Tools, Pro Builder, Export, Asset, same thing. I'm just going to go to Pro Builder Models, Castle, Props, new folder. Also, dang it, I hate it when I accidentally do that. Pedestal. And you might be wondering why I'm not exporting multiple things at once, and it's because of a bug that exists in the current version of Pro Builder where it will wipe away the UV2s, which I need for light maps, which sucks, but you know, at least I don't have a lot of things to export. Okay, I got the. Let's see. I mean, and again, like all of that is contextual based on like personal experience and ability. Like I can't do rhythm games because I lack rhythm. I got the note loading in a game and game info loading done. I've been checking out the job system. I don't know if the job system would be particularly useful for a DDR game or not, because you wouldn't really. The job stuff is really good for when you have tons of things going on at once, which outside of RTSs, I haven't really been able to think of a good example. It seems to be just a little weird and not really useful. Yeah, and like I said, you don't really need it for things that you're unless you have thousands of units on screen at any given time. Also, welcome back, Palm Tree. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and export our last thing for the night. It is formatted correctly, so let's go ahead and say Tools, Pro Builder, Export Asset. We're gonna say Pro Builder Models, Castle, Garden Props, Plinth. Hit save. Cool. So there are all of our wonderful meshes exported and ready to go. So, with this, pretty much the last thing that I need to do is set up our substance and do some UV painting. But I think I'm going to save both of those for Thursday, actually, just because that will give us something interesting to do on Thursday. I'm doing a bit of an art-heavy pass right now, I feel, in terms of workflow. So it'll just be nice to finish this up on Thursday. I probably shouldn't drink, you know? You never drink in dev. Except when you're game jamming, I guess. Then you gotta hit that Balmer's Peak. I mean, I could load the whole track on startup. There's just something about instantiating tons of objects and having them behave in a way, though. Yeah. Well, it honestly just comes down to how you want to approach it, and how your presentation is. Because I have no idea what your presentation is for the actual DER stuff in your VR approach. In any case, so I think we're gonna call it a night here. We have all of our models done, and they are UV'd. So the only thing we really have to do now is finish setting up the substance, and by finish I mean pretty much start, because all I've done has been using a template. And then we will have to set up some vertex painting for our exterior here, so that we can just paint some dirt onto this grass and make it look like there are walkways that people use, just so that it feels more like an actual lived-in area. Oh, and then we'll of course have to get the incredibly meticulously designed statues to go on top of these things. But that's a cool. Yeah, I'm really glad that I kept this this fountain flat on top now, because I can totally put another statue on top of it and it will look great. Mwah. Beautiful. So yeah, I think we're gonna call it there for a night, or for the night. So as always, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.